And next, we're going to talk about Myles Garrett, who's in New York City today, appealing his suspension. And you all know the story last week, Thursday Night Football. He uses Mason Rudolph's helmet as a weapon. And now the question is, will the NFL uphold that indefinite suspension? So right now, he's suspended indefinitely, out for the remainder of the year and playoffs. Now the question is, does that suspension bleed into next year? Well, now it appears that Myles Garrett is using a precedent-based argument against the NFL, citing a 2013 incident where Antonio Smith hit Richie Incognito with his helmet, and he was suspended 2 preseason games. So Myles Garrett said, hey, there hasn't been a lot of examples of this happening, but when it did, you got a 2-game suspension, and let's not forget, he didn't start the fight. So you have to ask yourself this question. Would Myles Garrett have taken off Mason Rudolph's helmet, use it as a weapon, if Mason Rudolph didn't try to take Myles Garrett's helmet off first? So we'll never know, but here's Mason Rudolph after practice talking about the incident.
Thursday night, to say the least, it was an unfortunate situation for everyone involved. I consider it a privilege, not a right, to be part of the NFL. I have no ill will towards Myles Garrett. Great respect for his ability as a player, and I know that if Myles could go back, he would handle the situation differently. As for my involvement last week, there's no acceptable excuse. The bottom line is I should have done a better job keeping my composure in that situation, and it falls short of what I believe it means to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and a member of the NFL. So I understand there's going to be a few questions, but I think it's in the best interest of our team, my teammates, our coaches, to kind of move forward from this and move things on the Cincinnati Bengals and keep looking to try to stop it.
And you got to give it to Mason Rudolph. He's saying right there, hey, I'm not perfect, I'm not innocent in this situation, and I have no ill will towards Myles Garrett. He just wants to move on, but we can't move on until punishments are doled out for Myles Garrett. Until we get a definitive punishment for Myles Garrett, we're not going to move on. And here's Jeremy Fowler with more details on today's hearing.
He's hopeful that the way Garrett was provoked in the situation, particularly potentially taking a shot in his groin area from Mason Rudolph. Now, Rudolph would argue, I'm told, that he was grabbing for his helmet, not anything else in the scrum. But they're hoping that helps Garrett's situation today, and Garrett will likely argue as such.
Now, if you're Myles Garrett in this situation, I totally understand what you're doing. You're trying to say, hey, there's precedent here. And if you look at the footage, when Antonio Smith hit Richie Incognito with his helmet, there was no one in between them. It was a faster swing. It was a more violent swing. But you have to understand, this league has evolved since that hit. This is a league where it's all about player safety. It's all about trying to reduce concussions. So the league is different in 2019 than it was in 2013. Look, keep in mind, this is a league where it wasn't even a rule to use your helmet as a weapon back in the day. The helmet rule is known as the Lyle Alzado rule that came about in 1983. In a 1982 divisional playoff game, Oakland Raiders defensive end Lyle Alzado took off New York Jets offensive tackle Chris Ward's helmet and then threw it at him. The result of that altercation was a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That led to Rule 12, Section 2, Article 16 that specifies the use of a helmet as a weapon. A player may not use a helmet that is no longer worn by anyone as a weapon to strike, swing at, or throw at an opponent. The penalty for illegal use of a helmet as a weapon is a 15-yard and an automatic disqualification. If the foul is by the defense, it is also an automatic first down. So the NFL, they need to act accordingly. Yes, thankfully, Myles Garrett didn't kill Mason Rudolph. Doesn't mean it wasn't possible. Doesn't mean he couldn't have sustained a serious injury, because if he did, then he would be out for longer. So you got to suspend it for the rest of the year, the rest of the playoffs. You can't overturn this. The NFL needs to be strong in this situation because players need to know this is a no-no. Now, if Myles Garrett gets suspended for 16 games, no player will never take off someone's helmet and use it as a weapon again. And if they do, they probably had a good reason for it. So if you're a Steelers fan, should Mason Rudolph be suspended? Well, in your case, you would hope maybe a couple games because he struggled all season long. But Mason Rudolph, he's going to be fine. Myles Garrett's going to be back, and you got to feel most for Mason Rudolph because this is what he's going to be remembered for. Mason Rudolph will be remembered for this because he's not a good quarterback. Myles Garrett's going to go on to make more Pro Bowls, all-pro teams. Who knows? He could be a Super Bowl champion Hall of Famer one day. That's not in the cards for Mason Rudolph, so that's why I really feel for, because this is all we're going to remember him for. Thanks for watching the Get More Sports YouTube channel. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me at DMac_LA. And for all the hottest sports content in the game, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, and most importantly, give me all your takes on all of today's topics right down below in the comment section. I want all your takes on today's topic right down below in the comment section. And for all the greatest in the world of sports, head over to GetMoreSports.com.